What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to RGF Media. I'm Rob, and on this one, we'll be talking about what I think the perfect prospect at number 10 is for the Jets to pick. It is not a left tackle. It is not a wide receiver. In fact, I think the perfect prospect is Brock Bowers, tight end from Georgia. Look, I put a lot of thought into this. I was on board the tackle train, just like probably 99% of us were. But I got to thinking. I talked about it previously in my last video a little bit. I would be all on board for a tackle, except the only thing is the tackle position is the most coach-needy position in the NFL outside of quarterback. And right now, with us retaining a coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff that we did with Keith Carter and all of them, it doesn't make sense because to me, we don't have the staff in place to help these players grow and develop. You look at cases like Mekhi Becton and Laken Tomlinson, they have progressively gotten worse every year they've been here. Mekhi Becton just looked absolutely terrible this year when we all had a lot of hope in his rookie season. He looked really, really good. Yeah, a couple flaws, but those we figured with some coaching that could be ironed out, and we just don't have that in place to help build up these young tackles, these young offensive linemen that may come into the league. They are going to see packages and blitzes and stunts and formations that they probably have never seen in college before. They have to understand their assignment. They have to understand who to pick up in certain plays. When reading the defenses, okay, this person's going to stunt, so I'm going to pass my guy off. I'm going to pick this guy up. And you saw it throughout the season that this offensive line, again, just looked completely lost for most of the season, didn't know what to do. So it just shows we don't really have the coaching staff in place to build these young guys up. So to me, that I would look into free agency to fill that tackle spot. Because look, I said this in my last video, the name of the game isn't to be a top 5 offensive line unit this year. If it happens, great, but it's probably not going to happen. I think that sweet spot for us is really in that 15 to 18 range, that middle of the pack to a little below average. And I think if we do that with improved quarterback play from Aaron Rodgers, I think this offense be in a much better position. So I went the Brock Bowers route for a few reasons. But before I get into those reasons, I want to get into his stats a little bit. Since 2021, he has been an absolute force to deal with in college football. Starting with 2021, he had 56 receptions for 880 yards, 15.8 yards a clip, and 13 touchdowns. 2022, he regressed a little bit with 63 receptions, 942 yards for 15 average clip and 7 touchdowns. And 2023, he regressed a little bit more in the ways of numbers, but I think that's all this has to do really with Georgia kind of changing some things in the way they operate. Obviously, that 2021 season was absolutely amazing offensively, but they kind of took a step back the next 2 years from that offense. So in 2023, he had 56 receptions, 714 yards for 12.8 yards a clip and 6 touchdowns. But this next part is where it gets really, really, really intriguing and really, honestly, really exciting to see and to think about this on our team. So among Power 5 tight ends since 2014, Brock Bowers has a higher receiving grade at 94.1. The next closest was Kyle Pitts at 92.9. More touchdowns at 26. The next closest was Charlie Kolar and Albert O at 23. Yards after contact, 684 to 4. The next closest was 466 from Sam Laporta. This is also where it gets really interesting, showing he's not really one-dimensional. He also had a rushing grade of 89.4 and 5 rushing touchdowns. He had a total of 31 touchdowns in his college career, which, think about it, in just 3 years, that's really amazing. That's really awesome. It shows that even though he's a focal point of that offense, that he can still get the ball and do some damage with it in his hands, do a lot of damage, actually. Teams know he's going to get the ball, and they still can't stop him. He is one of 14 FBS tight ends with a 75-plus career pass blocking and run blocking grade. Again, 31 total touchdowns. He's just not a receiving threat. He's not just a running threat. He can also block well. And that leads me into the 3 reasons why I think Brock Bowers is the perfect prospect for the New York Jets to pick at number 10 if he's there. His versatility, as I just mentioned, he's lethal receiving the ball, running the ball, pass blocking, run blocking, the yards after contact, the yak ability, the playmaking, the touchdowns, getting open, finding open seams, finding open areas of the field, making plays, catching the ball, and then running in for a touchdown, I think is something that this team direly needs behind Garrett Wilson. I think, Brock Bowers, you can get your number 2 option, and maybe in some cases, in certain games, you can get your number 1 option as well. I think it'll make it really tough for defense to say, okay, do we put an extra man on Bowers? Do we put an extra man on Wilson? Both can attack the middle of the field, both can stretch the field, both can go up the seam, both can move around. You look around the league and you see some of the best number 2 and even number 1 options are tight ends. Njoku, Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Kittle. The list kind of just goes on and on. Waller when he was with Vegas before he had the injuries in New York. I mean, the tight ends nowadays are more than just, okay, sit in line, block, maybe catch a couple of passes here and there. They're major receiving threats. They're usually too big for corners and too fast for linebackers. So just that combination of everything Brock Bowers brings, I think, is number 1 reason why he is the perfect fit for the New York Jets. You get your number 1 and number 2 behind Garrett Wilson. Number 2 is his playmaking ability. Again, I kind of just went over that. The fact that he has 31 touchdowns in 3 years, teams know he's getting the ball, but they can't stop it. And I think that coupled with Garrett Wilson, I think is kind of a really deadly 1-2 punch. Number three reason has to do with his versatility as well. He improves the O-line with his blocking. Like I said before, he's had one of only 14 FBS tight ends to have a 75 plus run and pass blocking grade. So this is the way I look at it. Right, say it's just one of those games, your offensive line is just getting beat up. They can't stop the D-line. They can't stop the blitz. They can't stop this. They can't stop that. It's just a really tough day for your O-line. Say we're playing the Ravens, Browns, whatever the case may be. Well, now you can go to a 13 personnel set, one running back, 3 tight ends, because you also have Conklin and Jeremy Ruckert. So Bowers coupled with those, you have 3 good to very good blocking tight ends that can also go out and make plays. What I would do is, and I talked about this in a previous video, if that's the case, if I have to go to 13 personnel, I'm going to have Bowers out wide and move him in, depending what the situation is. If you need that extra blocker on the line or whatever the case may be, I would have Conklin as that traditional inline tight end, and then I would have Jeremy Ruckert as that use check kind of player that Rob Saleh had in San Francisco. He can line up in a fullback position. He can go out wide. He can go in line. He can play at both ends to assist with blocking. And that way you have improved blocking on the O-line. You get a lot of help, but you also don't lose a thing in your playmaking ability in that set like you would in most situations for 13 personnel. So, that to me, those are 3 reasons why I just think it's a no-brainer. Brock Bowers. Again, I thought about this really, really hard. I remember first hearing Brock Bowers mock to the Jets, and I was like, we need so much more than just a tight end. But if you really think about it like I have, like I said, you get your number 2 in some cases, a number 1 receiving option. You get improved O-line play, and you get versatility. And all 3 of those things are exactly what the New York Jets need in order to be more successful in the future. And then Aaron Rodgers coming back. I think Aaron Rodgers would love Brock Bowers on the same field as him. So, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe. Who would you pick at number 10? Would you pick Bowers as well? Would you say, no, we're going tackle no matter what? We're going playmaker and receiver? Let me know what you think. And until then, talk to you later.